Well, damn. Good morning. First of all, it's so early. I didn't expect today to wake up to basically almost 2 million. 2 million! I feel like I've just spoken to you, like, just a couple of days ago. You guys are doing so well with the reading. Well done. First of all. Second of all, I truly did not expect it, but it's so funny because I actually had a dream that we reached 2 million today and that I was like scrambling, and lo and behold, let me talk to you about the 2 million dragon. We have swiftly, granted, because again, it's not been that long, traversed all the way to the day rune. We had to hire a sand ship because we knew the area that we're looking for quite volatile, especially this time of the season. It is scorching hot, so we were all definitely sweating. It's not the most pleasant experience of our life, so we did good with our work there. And whilst we were traversing, all felt a collective mental pull. So we had a compass to this dragon in our hearts and minds. Eventually found this massive dune that seems to be breathing a little bit, and we realized that these absolute monsters that have some sort of weird agenda against these dragons have buried our dragon under the sand. We didn't need to worry, but we didn't know that. With the help of some powerful elemental magic and very impressive lifting and digging chants and charms, we managed to uncover the dragon and found them in this protective glass bubble because they have melted the sand around them. Seemed nice and safe, albeit extremely angry. This dragon did not take well to being enchanted underneath the sand. Dragons are very intelligent, so they could sense that we are good and with pure intentions. So it wasn't angry at us, but it was definitely pissed, and it's so gigantic. This is a colossal dragon, as I mentioned, so the size of it by itself is very intimidating, and let alone a dragon that seems to be very ready to make you fried chicken, you know? Once the enchanted sand was all removed, they spread their massive wings and shattered the glass and roared their multicolored fire away from us. But you could tell that this is an angry scream. The howl also translated very easily into a promise of revenge. Whoever those people were, I would not want to be them. But I present to you our 2 million pages read dragon rescue that granted us the Ember Dragon. Again, this is a colossal dragon and it is of the fire type. It is definitely one with the most battle in its temperament. It is perfect for mages who are a little bit more combat driven or who, you know, hold a grudge or two. It's phoenix-like slightly in the appearance with very visible feathers that glitter with gold but are bright red, orange, and some pinks in there as well. They really glimmer as the dragon moves, and it also lives a phoenix life cycle. It's definitely not one for stealth, unlike our previous dragon. This one actually demands attention. Not even on purpose, but the overall atmosphere of the dragon has this cognitive magical effect where it really turns heads. It's always noticed, it is always announced before you understand it's announced, and I think that really helped us find it, hence the compass within us, as it does have that cognitive power for the people around it to be noticed. While it's not being stealthy, it does have a really cool escape mechanism, so if any time it needs to make a quick escape, it can turn itself and the rider into smoke, which also has confusing properties, so whilst the attackers or whoever you're fighting or trying to escape be really confounded by inhaling the smoke, you can dart away and they will be none the wiser. Not an ability that can be used often, but it is one for the most dire of circumstances. Because of its ancient connection to fire, it can also communicate with fire elementals. To those who will bond with an Ember Dragon, the rider is also granted heat signature vision. If it's in low visibility area, you can kind of see, you know, like those goggles, basically. As well as having fire immunity, which allows you to traverse into places that your regular body would just simply not be able to withstand. So fancy a swim in the lava? You got it. If bonded to it, it will become extremely attached to you as well as extremely protective of you. Basically, if you have an Ember Dragon, there's very little in life in terms of danger and enemies that you should be fearful of. But congratulations, you have rescued another dragon. The next one, we have had a large dragon, we had a colossal dragon, and the next one is going to be of a medium variety. Very different, as all of them are from each other. We're headed from Dayrun to Eartheria for this one, and it will be rescued when we reach 3 million pages, which honestly, with your pace, I don't know, it could be tomorrow. Could be tomorrow, I don't know. I hope you enjoy the dragon, and I hope you're having the wonderful time reading the books as well. And I will leave you with the next bit of my reading update for those who are curious and want to stay for that. But for those who are leaving here, I'll see you in the next one. Bye. I feel like recently my updates are just, here's bread. That's it. I am this close to finishing this book. And what a time. I am definitely finishing this tonight, no matter what happens. And I'll give you a little bit more updates right after this. And also, I have a bread waiting to cool down, so I'll share that as well. So welcome to bread videos, I guess.
Bread. Nice. Honestly, this is pristine dinner. Pickles in there. Fantastic.
First of all, that was 10 out of 10 dinner. If something flares my migraine after that, it's almost worth it. But anyway, let me update you on Sunrise on the Reaping. I spoke a little bit in the previous video about my thoughts and what's going on, but I feel like I didn't even actually speak to you about what actually is going on. So this is going a little bit back from the main trilogy of the not the Game of Thrones, the Hunger Games, but not as far back as to the Snow's backstory, which was the previous release of the series. We are on the 50th game of Hunger Games, which is a quarter quell, and this time as a special treat, because there's always something a little special on the quarter quells, double as many kids are being selected. So instead of 12 contenders, we actually are reaping 2 girls and 2 boys out of the pool of tributes, and there's 24 people in total. Now that may sound a little bit overwhelming, and it is. It is. I feel like we don't actually get to know the characters too much outside of a couple of selected ones until the actual games begin. But even then, I feel like we really are not focusing as much on the overall cast, which is nice, because I actually was worried when I heard that that is the kind of setup for this book, that we're going to spend so much time just remembering names. But I think the author did a really good job at, you know, mentioning people and giving us tidbits about them without us having to spend, or even rather, sorry to say, but waste page time on things that are not gonna last, let's say. Not to say that anyone that you get to know is going to last. Of course, we know who the winner of this is gonna be, but goes to follow that the rest are not going to be as lucky. I know that it's going to be very dramatic and very sad for Haymitch to end up the way that we saw him in the Hunger Games trilogy, which is someone who's really detached from reality, taking solace in a lot of alcohol and substances to just detach from reality as much as you can, and being quite apathetic to everything around, which is very different to the young Haymitch we're following, who is still very passionate, does kind of have this like keep your head down, go with it attitude, but it is so highly challenged and ignited with like angry fire from his love, called Lenore Dove, which I for some reason really dislike that we have Lenore Dove. Like, just choose one. Such a minor thing. But the more we go into the book, the angrier he gets at the whole system, the more behind her beliefs he stands, the more he is passionately following that in a sense of honoring their relationship as well. Now, I have some theories as to what's going to transpire later on for us to be so tragically sad later on, but I also am at a spot, I can't voice them because spoilers, I guess, whether I'm right or wrong. I am actually quite attached to the characters. I think the book did a really good job at making us feel involved, and a good balance between having enough of background and enough of character growth and getting to know them to actually still form those attachments even within under 400 pages. Basically what I'm saying is that I'm thoroughly enjoying this reading experience. There's maybe a couple of bits that I think the writing is a little bit unpolished, but it really doesn't bother me and it fits the tone of the Hunger Games book. So honestly, really not a valid complaint. So I have, what is this? 50 pages left of this book and I just know it's gonna be very painful. So that is today's plan, I guess. And I'll update you once I'm broken. But also, you know what? Regardless of that, how that's gonna go, is going to give me so much pleasure to actually log my first read because I am so not contributing so far to Rescuing the Dragons, and we're already at like 1.6 million pages, which is also very crazy considering this is only Tuesday. We got the dragon on Saturday, so you guys have been busy. You have been very busy. Morning. I feel like I come at you in my most like unruly, but whatever. Late last night I have finished this book and it's so sad. It's just so sad. I mean, I knew something like this is bound to happen because of how Haymitch is throughout the main trilogy, but like, damn. A sad, sad, sad story. I can't really say anything other than like scream into the void for a little bit. On the plus side, I have finally finished a book, so I can now actually contribute to Rescuing the Dragons. We're gonna focus on that, otherwise we're just gonna get really sad about what we just read. But this for me was Out of Illusion, right? Yes, Out of Illusion. So come with me. The Mindwalkers, Art of Illusion, Sunrise on the Reaping. And also I will say I was complaining about the title constantly because it made like it just didn't like make sense to me, so I would never remember it. Boy, does it make sense now. Does it make sense now? I don't think I'll forget it now even if I try. So there we have it. Susan Collins, you've done it again. And this was 382. Not a massive amount, but around here. Yes, indeed. Submit. And we are at 1,764,000 pages. I feel like we might rescue another dragon by the weekend again. Crazy. I do really need to like amp up the speed a little bit, so maybe I'll try and pick something that's a little bit faster next. To be honest, I was genuinely like purposefully also taking my time with this and just fully physically reading it, which also I feel like is a little slower than if I were to read with an audiobook or something, but I was like clinging to every word. I have an unexpectedly large reading update for you. I was going to do some Patreon sprints yesterday, but I think I'm gonna maybe do it today instead, because I forgot that Logan had his game and he uses this room for this game. He cannot use the other one, and I would stream in this room, so it was just like... So I pivoted and I did some watercoloring yesterday, and you know, I started listening to Dungeon Crawler Carl, but because it is so descriptive, like it's an adventure book, so we're moving from place to place to place, and we're just describing a lot of things. And if you know me, I struggle with that sometimes. My mind keeps wandering. As soon as the AI starts talking, I am all in. As soon as the characters start like developing some sort of like dynamic, I'm all in, and I love it. And the tone is great. The jokes are great throughout, to be honest, for the most part. There's just so much describing of things, and I mean, that is totally fine, but I couldn't focus on it. So, and maybe also it was just too chewy for what I was looking for in that time, so I'm leaving this to the side for now. I did get to a couple of chapters through where I last told you, but you know, it wasn't that long ago, so I feel like that is all the update I kind of can tell you for that one. But I picked up the next book that I decided would be great, which is so hilarious because what I was drawing was very cute and pink, and then what I was listening to was so grim. So, you know, balance. But I started reading the 10 minutes, 38 seconds in this strange world. Lo and behold, I'm actually here. I only have this bit left, and I will likely finish this today at some point, so that's great. But oh wow, this is a heavy book. This is so heartbreaking. It's all about found family. We follow the main character. She is dying. The opening scene is just her knowing that she's dead and she's laying there, but while she dies, we have the 10 minutes and 38 seconds while we recount her life in very interesting segments. So we recount her life from the very beginning when she's being born, and a little bit of her mother's story, who has a very tragic story to begin with. Her life with her family, which again was so complicated and so terrible. There is, I will say, all of the trigger warnings for child sexual abuse, and the topic is heavy on religion as well. So if those are topics that you're not quite keen on reading, I would probably steer away from this. I genuinely felt like this heaviness reading this, and that doesn't really happen super often. I didn't cry, but there was a moment where I actually just paused, and I was just sat there like depressed for a little bit. Honestly, it's just grim. You know, you probably will know someone who has had similar experiences, maybe not all together, but like the fractions of it that we're talking about. As well as recounting her life, we also meet people that were the chosen family instead. Once she actually leaves her family behind, she moves to Istanbul and she is a sex worker, and at her very loneliest, she finds people that she adores and that are the chosen family. It is absolutely maddening reading about the part where I honestly don't think that this book can be spoiled. It's very much not a plot-driven book, and you know the fact that she's dead to begin with. But when it's time for her body to be released, because the rules are so strict on who gets to do that, and that is blood family, who don't claim her because of all of the shame that you can't even get rid of in death. And that is so heartbreaking, that you are so discounted, misunderstood, devalued, to the point that even death doesn't do anything to that. But that is just interwoven with everything that happens to her as we move through life, and she's in Istanbul, and even though you feel like you got away from your family side of things, through society it just keeps following. But we have 5 of her friends that also then get a chapter or more each, going through their little life stories, and one of them is transgender, obviously in a country that was just not keen on that side of route. I will say I hit the part where we then truly just move from her side of things to the friend. I have slowed down a little bit in that part, I think because we have changed the format a little bit, but it's still very interesting. The writing is very poignant, very heartbreaking. It says a lot about found family. I just can't, like, outside of all the grimness, there is the core of the found family and how people care about each other. I know this is cringe, but and how love can be found in the darkest of places. But even if the ending I don't think is going to be as strong as the book was until now, because it is going a little bit interesting at this point, I feel like this could still be a very strong 4-star at the least. It's a book that I think is going to sit with you for a while, for sure. It's very turbulent. I am listening to this one on audio because I was saying I was doing things, I was drawing and I was painting and stuff. Would say I would really recommend the audiobook, but I don't want to say I recommend the book because I feel like that would be a disservice on my part saying that, considering all of the heaviness in it. So I would definitely say look into it and then perhaps read it. I do think it's a good one to recommend if you're in a place to kind of handle it. I'm not like putting it in a place together with like Little Life or anything like that. It's not a light read. Let's just say that. So literally a polar opposite of Dungeon Crawler Carl. I could not be further away from that. So it was a bit of a whiplash going into this, but I'm expecting to finish it today and then that will pass another subject. Honestly, it just feels stupid saying that again, considering what this read is, and then going like, hee, magical readathon. So, bizarre time. I do enjoy when books are there to hurt you, especially in such a believable, realistic way where you know this is happening. I can say that I'm enjoying this even though the term seems a little bit inappropriate considering. Basically. But that is my very cheerful update, and because we have basically reached the 2 million, I need to edit the very last bits into this vlog so I can get it out somewhat in time for you. I was again not prepared for this because it is only Thursday, my guy. So we're really smashing it, but thank you so much for participating and enjoying, hopefully, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!